it pisses people off when Zoran Mamdani reverses the script and says, I want a state that is democratic with equal rights and representation for all. Holy, that is so crazy. I've been saying from day one why the global north cannot stand up for Palestinians. If they acknowledge Israel as unethically occupied Palestinian land, then all indigenous people in the global north will ask for their land back too. She said the quiet part out loud.
I don't care if you believe that Palestinians are indigenous to the land of Palestine. That does not mean they get to have their own country within the current country of Israel. Let me explain. Almost every single country in the world.
Wait, this is really funny because everyone is like talking about, everyone's talking currently about Mahmoud Mamdani's correct take that all countries are genocide. Like nation states are a genocidal concept, which is literally true. He's an academic. Zoran Mamdani's father, Mahmoud Mamdani, is a Muslim academic. And people are trying to fucking criticize Zoran over what his father has said about how all nation states, like the concept of a nation state, is genocidal. As an academic, he is right. This is true. There are very few countries that have not created a nation state without genocide. There are very few countries that haven't participated in any sort of like wholesale slaughter. It's just the truth. But it's weird that the whole point, the whole point that is like idiotic about this is that just because it's the truth doesn't mean we should continue doing it. Okay? Like that's that's it. The whole point is you read it in the history books and you go, wow, that's really fucked up. We shouldn't do that again. And while it's literally happening again, people are like,
I don't care.
No, you don't understand. Like it's it's actually good. Let Israel have one, please.
Was conquered. Canada was colonized by the French and British. The land was taken from the native Inuits and Métis. In no way, shape, or form are the Inuits allowed to create their own country within Canada because they were indigenous. Australia was colonized by...
This is just might is right, dude. I wouldn't be talking this big of a game if the entire might is right politics revolves around unconditional and unlimited support from the West, lady. I mean, she probably is in Canada. That's why she's talking about Canadian First Nations people. But, you know, if you're doing this at the behest of Israel, this is not a very good argument. Might is right only goes as far as you're mighty, okay? One day you might not be so mighty. I mean, think about it this way. A country that has been gutted by sanctions was able to strike a blow to the impunity of Israel, okay? And that is with Western support. Now imagine if Western support diminished a little bit. Imagine if it went away.
By the British, and the land was taken from the indigenous Aboriginals. Are they allowed to have their own country within Australia? Southern Australia is now going to be a new country because they were indigenous. No, that is not the way the world works.
I think that, like, obviously the moral thing is the exact opposite of what she's saying, but the practical application of this is equal rights, restitution, and reparations. And I feel like no matter, like, I don't think any liberal would disagree with that, right? Like, the morally correct position is that you're wrong and they should, okay? But at least, like, the practical position that most liberals would be on board with is a recognition of the atrocities and restitution and reparations that come after. You can't just say, this is how the world works. Might is right. You know, we're mighty. So sucks to suck, Palestinians, while you are in the process of ethnically cleansing them. Like, this didn't happen 100, 200, 300 years in the past, and you're just like talking about it. You're talking about it as it's ongoing to people that are saying, don't do this. This is unacceptably violent. And it's ironic because I am of the mindset of the practical application, which is not the displacement of all of the latecomers, okay? All of the aliyahs that have taken place, all of the Jews that are now living in Israel proper or illegally occupying Palestinian territory against international rules and laws. I'm of the mindset of immediate restitution, a cessation of hostilities, and an immediate restitution and reparations to the Palestinians with a right to return. She's literally doing the case as to why Israel doesn't make sense. A historic concept of indigeneity doesn't justify the creation of a modern apartheid state today. I don't think she realizes she's correct, just in the opposite direction. Yeah, also, that is ironically what is the made-up mythology surrounding Israel, which is this was our land 3,000 years ago. It belongs to us, which is why we have to ethnically cleanse the people that remained, which happen to have closer association with our historic forefathers than even we do. Not that it fucking matters, because you can't make the argument. The irony is that if like land back, when people talk about land back in this cynical fashion, they don't mean that like the indigenous tribes need to do 9/11 every day to New York. Okay, that's just the fantasies of like edgy Sakai readers. Okay, like that's the edgy settlers readers that fucking fantasize about a future that is never going to happen. Okay, it's ridiculous.
Works. In 1948, the Jews fought a war against the Arabs and Palestinians on the land. The Jews won that war. I don't care that we were indigenous. I don't care that Palestinians were indigenous. It is our land. It is now a country. No other country in the world is expected to separate part of their country and give it to the indigenous people. No, but somehow that argument makes sense for all of you morons. It doesn't make sense for the US. It doesn't make sense for Mexico. It doesn't make sense for Canada. It doesn't make sense for Australia. And it definitely doesn't make sense for Israel. It's unbelievable how much Jew hatred blinds people into demanding things of Israel.
This is Shai Albrecht. Her husband is Eli Albrecht, and he was convicted of a hate crime when him and some others brutally assaulted a black man. They both act like he changed his last name to her last name because feminism. But it's because he's a racist idiot and didn't want the smoke. Wait, what?
That they would never demand of another country.
It's so fucking crazy, man. It's crazy that like she's just saying straightforward Nazi shit. It's just, you know, there's a role reversal here, and not even a role reversal directly, but like she's just Jewish and a Nazi. She is a Nazi that happens to be Jewish. Like, and the victims in this circumstance isn't Jews, communists, socialists, the disabled, the Romani people, but instead it's just Arabs, what she calls Arabs, which is, of course, Palestinians.
If you believe that Palestinians
Let's see what this
are
response
indigenous
is.
of Israel, let me explain. The land was taken by the country and give morons. It's unbelievable.
You say Palestinians can't have a state because they lost the war. Fine. But then they should be full, equal citizens of the state that replaced theirs. That's what countries you mentioned, Canada.
Yeah, that's literally the other. Yeah, exactly. And even though this is imperfect and there are plenty of problems that persist, like the problem with Israel is they don't want to give Palestinian citizenship. That's the reality, because it's a fucking ethnostate. It is an ethnostate developed around Jewish ethno-religious supremacy. And when you are an ethnostate that believes and maintains Jewish ethno-religious supremacist ideals, you have to exterminate the non-Jewish outgroup. That's it. This is precisely why it pisses people off when Zohran Mamdani reverses the script and says, I want a state that is democratic with equal rights and representation for all. When people ask him the question, do you want a Jewish state? Why don't you want Israel to remain a Jewish state? And he says, because I want a state that exists with equal rights and representation for all. That's a non-starter for defenders of Zionism, for defenders of Israel. That's it. And this is a non-starter for liberal Zionists as well. This is a non-starter for liberal Zionists as well. Like on that same virtue, because no such similar dynamic exists in Iran, for example, Iran has 9,000 to 20,000 Jewish Iranians that the government protects, that the government is perfectly aware of. Like, that's not a thing. That's not even a question. Iran doesn't go, we have to ethnically cleanse all the Jews. We're fighting with Israel, after all. We have to literally cleanse all the Jews. And I saw some fucking misreporting. Some cynical fucking misreporting that is so fucking gross, because they were saying there was a claim that like Iran had jailed 700 Jews or something after the fucking Israeli bombing campaigns. That's not true. They did jail 700 people suspected of collaboration, and they do have a heavy hand when it comes to political repression. They have a heavy hand when it comes to identifying and addressing people who are potentially collaborating with Israel, but they weren't Jews, okay? The people that they arrested weren't fucking arrested on the basis of being Jewish. And I don't even think that there were, I don't think that even the majority of the people arrested were Jewish. I don't even know how many of the 700 people that were arrested were Jewish at all. They were not. The idea that the Iranian government arrested 700 Jews is fucking bullshit. It's a lie. They arrested 700 people who live in Iran. Iran has, by law, Jewish representation in the government in a country of 92 million. What other country offers representation to such a tiny minority by law? If anything, they probably arrested a higher percentage of Kurds rather than Jewish Iranians. Jewish Iranians are a part of the Iranian population. Even the J-Post article corrected it. Iran arrests at least 700 nationals for alleged ties to Israel. 6 additional people have been executed on suspicion of collaborating with the Mossad, Israel's public broadcaster Khan News reported. Now that's really interesting because the people, where is it? The J-Post initial fucking headline for this article was Iran arrests 700 Jews. That's not the case. Editor's note, the headline of an earlier version of this report said that 700 Jews were arrested instead of 700 people. This mistake has since been corrected. Tehran's Jewish community holds ceremony supporting regime. Meanwhile, a special gathering of Tehran's Jewish community took place to show support for the Islamic Republic regime earlier on Thursday, celebrating the Iranian armed forces' decisive response to Israel's airstrikes. Khan reported the gathering was attended by Jews serving in the Iranian military who wore military uniforms and kippahs, Khan noted. Yeah, we don't know what the background of the people are that they arrested. We don't know what religion they are. This is just fucking made up. Yeah. See? Yashar, when it comes to Iran, even though he is obviously quite reactionary when it comes to Iran in general, he will correct the record. Iran has reportedly arrested over 700 Iranian Jews and executed 6 on bogus charges of spying for Israel. First of all, the idea that like there aren't collaborators deep within the Iranian nation state is fucking ridiculous. What do you mean bogus charges? What's bogus is that you're claiming that they're Iranian Jews, okay? I highly doubt that they were Iranian Jews that did this, for the record, 100%. And there were some anti-Semites that were literally saying, like, there's a lot of Jews in Iran. If I was the Iranian government, I'd fucking purge them. I'd purge them and purge them. It's like, that's bullshit. They've lived there for longer than Israel has fucking existed, okay? They have deep roots in Iranian society. Shut the fuck up. Not only that, but also, not only that, but also, once again, Israel admitted that their fucking assets had deeply penetrated Iranian society. It's not fake that there are absolutely collaborators within Iran. This is based on, Yashar Ali says, this is not true. This is based on a false Jerusalem report that misrepresented data shared by reputable human rights organizations that cover the abuses of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Over 700 Iranians have been arrested and accused of serving as spies for Israel, not 700 Iranian Jews. This is a common tactic during crackdowns. The people often arrested have nothing to do with Israel. The Jerusalem Post continues to pick up random tweets, stories from Arab news outlets notorious for laundering lies for their home countries' intelligence agencies and various bad actors, resulting in the continued spread of fear and misinformation. I'm pretty sure the ones that were executed were also executed after having already had a trial because they were arrested for spying before the Israeli attacks. Iranian Jewish community is the oldest Jewish community as they have been there since Cyrus the Great. Yeah. 100%. People don't fucking know that. Iran is also an incredibly diverse country. Okay? All of this shit is like people trying to literally say, well, Iran does this too. No, Iran doesn't do this. Israel does.
Canada, Australia, the US eventually did. Equal rights and voting for Indigenous people. The Inuit vote in Canada. Aboriginal Australians vote. Native Americans vote. They aren't locked behind walls, denied medicine, and bombed in refugee camps. Palestinians are. And no, those countries didn't ban Indigenous people from returning to their lands. Israel does, even when Palestinians still have the keys and the deeds. So if you're against a separate Palestinian state, fine. But then let them live in Israel with full rights, the vote, and the right to come home. Because what you're defending isn't democracy, it's domination.
It's fascism. It's ethnic cleansing. It's genocide. It's apartheid. And it is an ongoing atrocity. It's just pure Nazi shit. Israel can't fucking cope with it. Israel can't contend with it because they rely on support from the West. And obviously, like, it is a great irony. It is not lost on me that a big part of the reason why Americans hate this kind of stuff, aside from the fact that they fought the Nazis, is literally because of tremendous amounts of scholarly work on the Holocaust. And while for the longest time Israel used this kind of research and this kind of academic work to justify the existence of a Jewish state, people are now broadly recognizing that this is identical to what the Nazis did, and therefore have learned that this is wrong. For many people, never again didn't mean never again just for Jews. For many people, never again meant never again for everyone. And if you also have this never again means never again for anyone attitude, which is the normal moral position to have, then of course you're going to be fucking upset with the actions of Israel. It's that simple. God damn, dude. Holy shit.